Thank you, Lindsay. That was beautiful. That was beautiful. And so our message today is the topic is called A Clean Slate. And last month we talked about what was the science of mind, how it works, and how do we use it. And we touched a little bit about our experience and our emotional life of the divine, but for the most part we were talking about the thinking part of it last month. And this month we're going to go deeper into it a little bit. We're going to go talk about our experience and our emotional life in this life of the divine that we all live and move and have our being in. So, John, can you give me my first slide? So this is a great, this one. So this is a great intro on our month. So it sort of reminds me of the Bhagavad Gita, the story of Arjuna, the great warrior, ready for the battlefield, and he's down at the bottom of his chariot and having to be schooled on how to be a warrior again by the god Krishna, who's in the story. And so this is the many paths that we can have. And, you know, it's one of our core beliefs. That's why everyone is welcome here, that we all have our own path. Maybe it's one mountain that we're climbing. We have many paths to climb the mountain. Maybe it's one tree that we're a part of with many branches. The different faiths and spiritualities comprise the different branches, but it's all one. And maybe it's one river that has many wells that are feeding up and combine to give that beautiful essence of the divine to that river. Beautiful essence to that river. And so I want to continue sharing with you some of the Centers for Spiritual Living global visions. And so this is sort of going to apply to what we're talking about here. And this is from the CSL Global Vision document. We envision humanity awakening to its spiritual magnificence and discovering the creative power of thought. A world where each and every person discovers his or her own personal power and ability to create an individual life that works within a world that works for everyone. So that's the message. So everyone says, Michael, when people ask us who we are, what we believe in, these are the type of things that we believe in. We believe in a world that works for everyone, that we're sharing our own thoughts. And actually, what I'm going to keep talking about today, we're evolving consciously. And as we evolve consciously, our contribution to the greater conscious evolution, just absolutely improves manyfold. So we're on a larger journey here. And it's interesting because as you evolve consciously, as you evolve mentally, as you evolve spiritually, all of our great teachings, which are, the secret is our teachings are mystical teachings. They come from both the Western edge, the Christian mystics, and they come from the Eastern mystics, the Hinduism, the Buddhism, the Taoism. But they're mystical teachings because we're teaching that thought is the creative thing in the universe. So it's assisting us to go to the next step. But sometimes it's hard for us to give up the life of looking outside and thinking that is controlling our life, that is our fate, or what some good intending person told you about how to go through life. You'll never have enough if you don't save this money. You cannot generate something from nothing. So, but these lessons, sometimes difficult lessons, are good for us. Because the one thing that the science of mind has never been about, it's never been about me, me, me. Although in the 80s, we had this, what was the saying? Princes, palaces, and parking places. We were all about the name it, claim it game is what they used to say. All about using the power of our mind to obtain things that we wanted. And that was all well and good. But as we evolve, We evolved more to the mystical part of things. Just as Dr. Ernest Holmes, the founder of the science of mind, he did the same thing. He evolved more to the mystical part of the world. In fact, his last book was The Voice Celestial, which was just an epic mystical poem. Beautiful book, beautiful book. And so, but this greater power that's within us, that's always been within us, we sort of have to get ourselves out of the way. We really have to get ourselves out of the way. The great opera singer Caruso used to prance around backstage before, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And he used to say to himself, "Big me, take over. Big me, take over. Little me, stop. Little me, stop. Big me, take over." Because he wanted that greatness inside of himself to come forward. So his saying was, "Big me, take over. Little me, get littler." And that's just the concept of our ego. Because to do that, sometimes it's all well and good saying, yeah, we can start with a clean slate. But if we just make that statement without understanding where we are right now, we use what some people refer to as spiritual bypassing. We make a statement we really don't believe in. So sometimes there's work to be done. We need to heal our old wounds so we can move forward. And Johnny, if I could have my next slide. And this is from the body of the Buddhist canon or the Buddhist scripture. And it tells you what to do with the past. It says, do not pursue the past. Do not lose yourself in the future. The past no longer is. The future has not yet come. Looking deeply at life as it is the very here and now. The practitioner dwells in stability and freedom. So the great Buddhist concept of looking deeply in life and seeing life as it truly is, we teach to our licensed practitioners to get to a state where they're in a state of spiritual detachment, where what are they detached from? They're detached from judging by appearances of the physical world. And they're attaching to their faith and the beautiful sense of divinity that's in each and every one of us. But to get to that point, we've got some work to do, don't we? You see, we need to clean up our broken hearts, our hurt feelings, our memories of being betrayed. And Anne-Marie is going to help us with that immensely next week, and she's going to do it in a very fun and way that's going to be very hands-on. So please watch her on Sunday. And I won't steal her thunder for sure, but I'm just saying that that's a necessary thing to be, because healing the past always allows you to be happy in the present. Healing the past allows you to be happy in the present. And if we're going to believe what Ernest Holmes says, there's a power for good in the universe and we can make use of it, we better not be worried about what's happened in the past and how we're a victim. We better be happy in the present. We better be looking forward expectingly to the future, knowing that our future is good, knowing that there's a power for good in the universe and we can use it, and being at that place where we can go forward. And once we do that, this beautiful light of the divine that's within us shines brightly. And maybe a good analogy is all that we've done when we do that, when we clean up our stuff, our shadow type stuff, we've just polished that lens. And now the light of the divine can shine through us much more beautiful, much more radiantly than it ever has in the past. And it's not us doing the work. We have this light of the divine in us at all time. And the great Master Jesus says, it is not me that does the works. It is the Father within, he doeth the works. And Ernest Holmes reiterated that. So, John, could I have my next slide? He says this: if you think you are so important, thrust your hand into a bucket of water and see if it leaves a hole. We have gotten our human selves so completely in the way that the kingdom of God, which is given, cannot be accepted. Are we willing to let go of this inflated ego, this gigantic make-believe, this mask that we wear, and in simplicity accept life? Illumination will come more and more when we realize our unity with the whole and as we let the truth operate through us. So we get to that point where we're giving up our own ego. Little me get out of the way, big me take over. We let that larger self within ourselves, when we're no longer worried about that victim we were in the past, those judgments we had yesterday or 5 minutes ago. We're letting that large us take over, and that large us is going inside and looking for the guidance. And Ernest Holmes goes on to tell us what's that like when we're truly in that state. And he says, when in thought and contemplation and imagination, in inward feeling, we consciously return to the source of our being. The divine pattern which already exists springs forth into the newness of manifestation. Powerful, powerful place to be. And so, when we get to this point, now we're to the point where, for the most part, we've taken care of the baggage that we came with, and we're ready to enter into what I'm calling this clean slate experience. But you may experience several ways of being in there, activities in there. So this clean slate is going to bring both freedom and terror. Because when you're on an open road, like our first slide, where you don't know which way to go, it's pretty terrible. You have to trust that you know where to go. And if it's untilled soil, you're not definitely sure what's going to grow out of that soil. You know what you think is going to grow. You know the thought that you planted in there was good, but you don't quite know exactly what will grow out of that. And this experience, this clean slate experience, is sometimes we seek it, and sometimes it's thrust upon us. And when it's thrust upon us, it's like we have to step back and see things with the eyes and the light of spirit, saying, why is this meaningful to me? Maybe the entire COVID experience. We can gain some beautiful insight from that. But it always provides us an opportunity to tap into the source of creation and tap into the source of infinite possibility. Infinite possibility being that thing which has never been done before. That divine idea that for whatever reason, we were too busy looking at the external world to allow it to come to the surface. So that's the first aspect of being in this clean slate experience. And the second aspect is you must awaken to your spiritual magnificence. So if you've done your cleanup work, maybe you've set a new way of being. You're trying to grow to your yet-to-be experience, and you can't do that if your same set of ethics, your same set of thinking about who you are is based on who you were a day ago or a month ago or a decade ago. You've set yourself up a new vision for your life. So you can use the Socratic method on yourself. And the Socratic method is just answering questions. Socrates made it special in all the dialogues of Plato. He says, well, I hear what you said, but it sounds like if you said this, you meant that. So you can use this Socratic method on yourself to examine, are your thoughts and your behaviors in line with this new vision of yourself? This is the clean slate. This is the inspiration that you got. But your mind will tend to go back to what it's known and what it's comfortable with. So you need to continue to challenge yourself. And are these old detrimental beliefs and limiting beliefs popping back up? Because when they're removed, what happens then is there's clarity in this space for these beautiful, beautiful new ideas to emerge in your life. And the third aspect of this, and this is all sort of challenging, isn't it? You thought a clean slate was a nirvana, a great place to go. But the third aspect, it's this clean slate experience is typically preceded by pain and messiness. And it's like, I think of the divine feminine, of bringing new life into the world. It's not logical, it's not pristine, but the divine feminine knows how to go into the darkness, go into the mystery, go into all the messiness that's entailed to bring new life experience into the world and bring it forward into the world with this wonderful, beautiful, blessed way of being. So beautiful, so powerful, so pristine. But sometimes it can get painful, and sometimes it can get messy. And sometimes the cleaning up can be a little bit more difficult for us. If we're giving up that part of us of what we used to be, it can be difficult and sometimes demanding for us. So our call for living this new way of living is to practice this presence daily. No more validation of looking at the outside world for guidance or acceptance or approval. So, John, could I have my Ernest Holmes slide? And Ernest Holmes talks about the silence. And so to set it up, Ernest Holmes, I'm paraphrasing here, he says, when you don't know what to do, you go into the silence. If you don't get your answer, you stay into the silence until you get your answer. And his quote goes like this: the silence means this, a contemplation in the quiet of the mind, when the objective tumult is temporarily stilled and we rise in our consciousness to the place of pure causation, which is spirit. When we've got our slate clean, now we're open to the beauty and the power and the essence that's the divine itself. And so, will we have our challenges? Absolutely. Will we know what to do? Not all the time. What happens if we have a bad day? Well, let me give you the words of Ralph Waldo Emerson. I love Ralph Waldo Emerson. And he says this, he says, finish each day and be done with it. You have done what you could. Some blunders and absurdities no doubt crept in. Forget them as soon as you can. Tomorrow absolutely is a new day. So now we get back. We've done our work. We've cleaned up our consciousness. We're into this blank slate. And now there's a concept that's a Buddhist concept, but the different mystical approaches have used it. The Buddhists call it beginner's mind. And the Christian mystic, Meister Eckhart, told us the same thing. He says, be willing to be a beginner every single morning. So that's the message of the clean slate. It's not as clean and pristine all the way through. So once again, what we have to do is we have to go back and heal that within inside of us that is causing us issues. We have to heal our judgments. We have to heal our hurts. We have to heal our feeling of being betrayed. Then we can take the first activity. We can experience a clean slate and all the freedom and terror that it brings to us. And then we can step up to our spiritual magnificence. So what we're doing, we've gotten to the state where Caruso is telling us, big me, move over. Big me, come over. Big me, little me, get out of the way. I misstated that. Little me, get out of the way. Big me, come in. So now we have our first activity. We're dealing with the terror and the freedom. And then we're examining our new felt vision of spiritual magnificence. We're asking ourselves, are my thoughts and my behaviors in line with this new vision I have? Because I want to get to where I need to go. I don't want to stay in this little me part of myself that's limited, that's judgmental, that's really just not the life of the divine that I want. And then we know that there'll be some pain and some messiness along that trail, but it will certainly be worth it. And this is what the clean slate experience is. It's a powerful place for us to be. And once again, I highly encourage you to listen to Anne Marie's talk next Sunday, and she's going to help us with that part about moving aside from that limiting part of ourselves so we can make brand new room for that great part of ourselves to come over. So I hope you take this experience, approach this clean slate experience, go to beginner's mind, and allow that beautiful and loving and radiant light inside of you to shine. God bless you. I love you. Thank you very much.